You
Oh,
know,
good.
I can't get through my mind how many corrupt mayors and um, politicians we have in this state. I know some of your topics this week is alluding to that. It just boggles my mind how these people continue to get away using taxpayer funds to enrich their coffers, and especially a village like that getting that kind of notoriety. I mean, what are the consequences of that? What are they going to do about that?
Jeremiah Houston, hey, thanks for tuning in, my brother. Sounds like the mayor is doing well for herself, not himself. Let's not misgender this person. Uh, and on taxpayer funds, let's see, Jeremiah was out in the big metropolis of, I think, Carlock, right?
Mm,
If I'm not mistaken. I made $100 a month, but I did it for the service to the community and never asked for a raise. Good for you. Well, and you know what? That's the most amazing thing about this. When we truly start breaking down what is broken in Illinois, the corruption, and as I started to say, corruption has been with Illinois for a very, very long time. And you look at Chicago and the whole makeup of the organized crime and how that has manifested itself over time. Because for the most part, organized crime from Chicago just moved itself to the south, to the state capital. That's where the organized crime is. I started to mention, go to JB Pritzker's Twitter page or Facebook page and look at what his staff writers are putting out. I mean, you would think that Illinois is the shining star on the hill as
mhm.
states
Yeah.
based on his economic perspective and what he believes Illinois truly has accomplished during his tenure as governor. I happen to comment at the DPB show on his page, and I always call it the land of make believe. And if you want sources to edify what JB is saying or not saying, go to Wire Points,
Yeah.
go to
That's a
Illinois
great source.
policy, look at these things. You know, he is spending millions and millions of dollars to try to fortify a broken public school system when we know that most of the kids, well, all of the kids, not one kid in the top 50 largest schools, I think it is. Let me make sure I have this right because I pulled it up earlier on Wire Points. But not one of the kids in the school system was reading at grade level. Let me here it is right here. The 20 largest school districts. Wire Points in Illinois Education 2022, not a single student can do math at grade level in 53 schools. There are 852 school districts in the state of Illinois, which overshadows what a state twice the size of Illinois has
Right.
in Florida. I mean, there's county-based school systems in Florida. I think it's either 74 or 76. We have 852 school districts, 53 schools. Um, the students can't even do math at grade level. Reading, it's 30 schools. So we know that and the reason I'm pointing this out is to continue to wrap it around to this, what this whole show is about: systemic corruption and fraud. Fraud is basically trying to take advantage of people, and that's what this is. I mean, it is so corrupt at the core. This mayor has a combined salary with her township supervisor position of 300,000. She's not alone. I mean, she just happens to be highlighted in this Fox News article, which is where I got it from. In case you want to go out there and look at it, but that's I don't know. I
Well, the Democrat solution when something is broken and failing is to just throw more money at it, thinking money will solve a solution. Look at their national level narrative. Things are falling apart, blowing up at the seams. And what is their narrative? Everything's fine. Don't look over here. Everything's fine. What are you talking about? We have the best economy in the world. We have lowest inflation of all our other allied countries. We have great opportunities economically for everybody. It's equitable. Nothing to see here. And yet you have the same thing at the state level. Pritzker saying we've developed this, we've increased this, we've given free preschool at our expense. For what result? If you're going to spend money on something, shouldn't that money go towards a result of better education? Instead, they're throwing billions of dollars at education in Illinois in public schools, and it's not reaping the benefits. You're seeing
Well,
kids
it's the
drop
what's
out.
based on
You're seeing, yeah,
outcomes. What is the outcome? And, I just
yeah,
caught a glimpse of myself on the screen and realized I forgot to announce I'm sporting my John Deere camo hat today.
I like it.
Uh, yeah, I think it's a good look. It blends in well with my nice Walmart shirt that I got for $5. Just in case you didn't know, you can buy very nice clothing at Walmart. That seems to be where I have turned my sights to with
Yeah.
purchasing clothing because it gets back to the inflation, what you were talking about,
Hmm.
Ryan. And I want to hit upon this before I get into some additional things that have
Yeah.
cropped up in Illinois. But you know, Bongino did a great job on his show today. So if you didn't hear Bongino's podcast, go to his podcast on Rumble. A couple things that are happening. I don't know if you heard. Rumble is making a bid to purchase TikTok.
Yeah. I saw that with the
So that
condominium
is that is super
platform.
huge.
Yeah, it's basically becoming an internet superpower highway for freedom of speech. You
Yeah.
remember when, a few years ago, when Parler was a popular, app to display free speech, and Amazon Web Services basically took it off the grid, and this is Rumble's way of telling you, "No, this is not how this works, this is freedom of speech." This is now gonna compete with Amazon and Microsoft on their level and be able to open up another super highway for companies to share web services. It's great. I think it's great.
So you don't get unplatformed
Yeah,
is what it is. I mean, that
yeah,
they are truly, and they're doing the cloud too, where you can get on Rumble dot cloud and you
mhm,
can host your website there, so you can be assured that in the future somebody just doesn't remove you because you become too popular, like
right.
the DPB show. That we can only
Yeah,
hope, right? Lord willing, the
yeah,
DPB show raises to the level that they would even consider deplatforming me.
yep,
But getting back to the Bongino show, something that he covered today was, inflation goes up by 6%. So $100 item goes up to $106 item.
mhm,
Then it starts to rise again 3-4%. And then it comes down maybe a half a percent, and then they promote that inflation is going down.
right,
But they don't take into account that now you're at $112 for
mhm.
that item that you purchased,
Yeah,
which
it doesn't
gets
stop.
back.
It continues to be there. Yeah, it doesn't, from they
Yeah,
count it
it
from month
doesn't.
to month. I remember a couple years ago when Biden said, "Oh, look, last month it was 0. We had 0 inflation. It didn't increase." Well, you don't count inflation month to month. It's year over year, and it's continuous, and I just learned, what was it? The consumer price index came out again. It was, still paying 19% more for most goods. So it's
Well,
still ramming through the economy and nobody seems to care.
and this is the thought that I have, that I had yesterday as I was kind of, you know, reflecting on the show today. We have people out there working their tails off for more than minimum wage.
Mhm.
19, $24 an hour, $25 an hour, $30 an hour, and they can't even still make it in a Biden economy.
Yep.
And that's the fascinating thing. I don't know how young people, young families are doing it. We know that for the most part, uh, the American dream is dead for so many now because they can't even hardly make the monthly rent payment.
Yep.
Alone try to enter into a housing market where they can purchase a home. And it's I just my heart goes out to it. As I was at Walmart today and just watching and looking at people, it literally, brings such great emotion to me because I'm like, I know how I am. Just my wife and I, we earn, I think, a fairly good living, especially if you would have gone in the Wayback Machine. What
Mhm.
we earn now, if you would have gone back 10 years ago, you would say, wow, you're living large. And just fast forward 10 years,
Yeah.
and suddenly you're like, wow, I
Yep.
can't believe what it cost our monthly expenses are.
Yep.
Are we gaining
It's
any
no longer
ground?
comfortable living. You're getting by. The new middle class is somewhere you have to earn what used to be maybe 75, 80 a household. now is going to upwards of 100 to 150, 180 is the middle class median income to survive. I mean, that's where it's at. What used to get you by an 80 or 90 combined income, that would be considered comfortable. Now that's almost poverty line level. It's ridiculous.
Well, and I think that there's more to come. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
and this is what we're seeing, and this is in every area because what they're trying to do right now, and I know this is orchestrated, and it has been orchestrated. We've talked about it on the DPB show often. Is this is a planned out? It's planned that they are trying to truly implode the economy of the United States,
Yep.
and while they're doing that, they're trying to turn the electoral process upside down.
Yep.
If you don't believe that the immigration at the border, the illegal immigration, isn't a tool they're using for blue states to backfill votes that they have lost over time because of their economic policies, because of the way that they have treated their we the people, they have no other choice. This is a definitive play. You're seeing it in the way that they're trying to approach those who are coming here illegally. Biden, in his apology tour of the illegal immigrant that's
Yeah.
suspected of killing the young college nursing student in Georgia, uh, this is all a plan. These folks have nothing else to lean on because it is all falling apart, as you said, Ryan. Uh, but yet, at the same time, so is the economy.
Yeah.
And
But
anytime you
it's
start
conspiracy theory if you start talking about how bad everything is and how the illegals are coming in and replacing people that are here legally. And when he said the other day when he apologized for calling that murderer an illegal, he said undocumented. And then he said basically to the tune of they built the country. No, illegal immigrants did not build this country. People who
no,
migrated here legally and moved here for a better reason legally and migrated to live here built this country. You know, Europeans
exactly.
that our founding fathers, most of them were English or European. They moved here the right way and built this country. We didn't have a bunch of illegal people coming here and saying, "Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and build this country." Everything comes out of his mouth is a lie.
Well, at the rate, I mean, obviously now we know it to be true that people were flying in the middle of the night
Yeah,
into these blue cities. And how is that being done? You know, who was flipping the bill? Well, we know. You know, I'm not going to ask a question that we already know the answer to.
yeah,
We know the government is paying
mhm,
to import as many people as they can
mhm,
and incentivize those people to be here without going through the legal immigration process.
yeah,
And the sum of people they need because they have to shift the electoral college. They are looking to get
yep,
more representatives in blue states so they can overwhelm the system. We already know about packing the court. It's something they've desired to do
yep,
for many years.
yep,
This is called packing the House of Representatives in Congress. They have to do it. Um, uh, Emily has a question in the chat.
one of my
She
followers on YouTube, yeah.
Hey,
Why
there you
can't
go.
yeah,
There you
yep,
go. Why can't we just send the illegals back out of this country? What is stopping us from doing that? Well, you know, unfortunately, as we all know, it's the consent of the governed, and we have to do the consent through our representative republic,
yep,
and that means we have to influence enough of our representatives to be standing up. At some point, you're right, Emily. We're going to need to be so adamant about standing up for what we believe as the constitutional way of America that I'm not talking about bloodshed. I'm not talking about revolt. I'm talking about an organized uh, effort
mhm,
to really hold accountable every person who holds an elected position. And that means we're going to have to mobilize and fortify our counties, our townships, like Thornton Township.
mhm,
What doesn't create an immediacy for the supervisor of the township who is being paid $300,000. There is no way that they can afford that in a community of 20,000. The township itself, I don't
Yep.
know what the size of it is. But so that is the long and short answer of it is we've got to
Well,
all come together and get involved.
right. It's become a political issue. This idea of the border and illegal and policies, it's law and order what it comes down to, and it shouldn't be a partisan issue. It's a law and order issue. If you're here illegally, you deserve to be kicked out of the country and gone through the right way. You don't deserve any benefits from coming here. You don't deserve $8,000 checks being handed to you. You don't deserve an app on an iPhone. You need to come through the right way, and this shouldn't be a partisan issue. They've made it into a political issue where it should be follow the law as it is. There's codes against this.
Yeah, legal immigrants are not going to vote blue, and
Yeah.
they need those willing to enter in the dark and the night for that. And it's not even necessarily getting them to the voting booth, because I know if you missed earlier, we are 1 week away from election day here in Illinois. March 19th is the election of Illinois. I need everyone who hears this, share it, like, subscribe. I hope,
Mhm.
and once again, it's not because I believe I have a great show. I'm far from that. I just want to be a purveyor of news that doesn't get highlighted by most media, and nor does it get highlighted by the Democrat Party or the Republican Party, because we definitely have obstacles to overcome in Illinois. The mayor of Dalton being just one of them, the governor and everything that he's done over 5 years. All of this needs to be highlighted, and how we do that is by showing up. And I know some people say I'm giving up. No, there's
Mhm.
no giving up.
Yep.
That's not a choice. Where are you going to go?
Mhm.
Tell me you're going to move out of state. Believe me, communism is coming to a state near you.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where you live anymore. Mhm.
These 10, 15 million people are residing in almost every state in the United States of America. Now, granted, it's more prevalent in blue states.
Right.
Why? Because they have lost in the electoral process. They see this thing slipping away from them. They are trying to do what we should be doing, which is
Mhm.
fortify,
Mhm.
mobilize. That's why the last show I encouraged everyone, be a precinct committee person. Out of the 10,500 precincts in Illinois, less than half of those precincts have a precinct committee person who is out there actively working the streets, trying to make sure that people are informed about what lies ahead. I've heard it last night at the board meeting here at the McLean County Republican Party, where I happen to be on the board as a vice chair of the town of Normal. And they were saying, we're going to these doors and people aren't even aware that there's a primary. And I get it. You're not aware of what's going on politically because you're going to the grocery store, you're going to the gas
Mhm.
station, you're trying to get your kids to and fro from all of their activities. And in the meantime, they are literally undergirding, undermining the process of how we exist in not only this state, but every other state that is blue across this nation. Are they having a harder time in red states? Of course they are, because they have general assemblies that are trying to beat back this thing every day. And
Right.
still, with that said, I love when Bongino talks about his county, Martin County, 5 Republicans on the county board,
Yep.
but yet they just voted for a tax increase.
Yeah. So it's
That's
in
not
our
the
own party that we
That's
have
not the
problems.
Republican way of
Mhm.
doing things.
Yep. Yeah, like you said, it's everywhere. It's in every state. There's a Texas may not be a red state solidly very long in the next 5 years. If they allow the rhinos to take control of the courts and control the system down there, we may see a purple or a blue Texas in our near future, and that has to change because if you lose Texas, you lose the republic. The problem is you have liberal cities, large liberal cities in these red states. If they ever get to a place where they are electorally to control a state. That's the problem. Population and a popular vote. That's what these Democrats want. You want LA, Chicago, New York City to run the election process. That's why they want to get rid of electoral college. The electoral college was a thing that was put in place to have everybody have equal chance at voting and the representation heard. That saves the smaller states in the union from not having a say. But Democrats don't, they want to use the popular vote because why? 3 cities or 4 cities will control the electorate, and that's what they want. The most of the populated areas in the country are on the east and west coast. That's what they want. They want all the
It,
power to the east and west coast.
well, and you're right. They like the east, they like the west, and in the middle of the heart of the country, the heart of Illinois, the heart of America is the heart-shaped state in Illinois. Have you ever noticed that Illinois has the same form as far as their borders as an anatomical
Mhm.
heart shape?
Yep.
And that's hence what they are going after.
Yep.
They need to fortify the West in California, which they already have Washington and Oregon. Then
Mhm.
they need to make sure that they have the Northeast, the population centers in New York, the state of New York. Now they can move in, which is where they're finding the challenge. If they can get Illinois, then they can try to control the crossroads, right?
Yep.
In order to get to all those other states, you have to somewhat come through Illinois, and
Mhm.
that's their plan. I mean, as far as Emily's comment, and the governor of Texas has already started in the right direction.
Yep.
Governor Abbott has. We must follow his example and get things done. Governor Abbott started the process because what Governor Abbott and Governor DeSantis knew was he wasn't going to be able to stop the flow of people coming to this country illegally because he didn't have the support of the federal government.
Right.
So what they started to do was to um, export or deport to another state
Mhm.
illegal immigrants,
Yep.
which was brilliant, right?
Yeah.
Where they started to bus and they started to fly, and of course, all of those people on the left, the radical left, started to lose their minds because they were saying that how they were mistreating these people by shipping them to other places.
Mhm.
Then, lo and behold, we have Biden in the middle of the night transporting via the Friendly Skies.
Yep.
Um, uh, Illegal immigrants to all of these fortified cities so that they can continue. It's perplexing, but getting back to the solution, because I don't like to just sit here and ramble for a whole hour about all the problems, because we know the corruption, we know the fraud, we see it day in, day out. I'm seeing it. Just I was going through my email today, and I think it's fascinating when you look at everything that is transpiring. And I just was looking at CJ Parker, a friend of mine who's involved with the Illinois Republican Party,
Mhm.
but he had sent me a list of bills that we need to definitely be actively, which is once again a responsibility of we the voters, because it's the only legal process that we have of shooting down legislation. And I did use the word shooting for a reason, shooting down legislation,
Pun intended.
because yes, pun intended, shooting it down. Um, there is a very, very dangerous bill, is what CJ says. Secretary of State shall issue a state voter identification card to any natural person who is a registered voter in the state of Illinois and who applies to the for the card or the renewal of the card, sets forth requirements of the state voter identification card. The bill effectively moves determination of voting entitlement for the local election determination to a single state agency that does not administer elections. So basically, witness slip for that. Um, Voter identification card. They say that we oppose HB 5316. We oppose HB 3904, additional limit on home rule powers. Here's one we do support: requires local clerk to remove deceased voters. What a concept.
Mm.
You mean we don't want dead people on our voter rolls?
Yep. Imagine
But
that.
I mean, so Illinois.gov, Illinois generalassembly.gov. illinoisga.gov is where you go to look at these bills, and you can go there also. The filling out witnesses slips is pretty straightforward. Uh, Usually, when it comes to the General Assembly of Springfield,
Mhm.
it's going to be very rare that you don't oppose a bill. You will know that one got through the goalie and saw the light of day because it was able to get out of committee and actually go to a vote. Uh, uh, go to a vote amongst those members of the House or the Senate, and then you might be a proponent of a bill. It's very rare that we as Republicans will be proposed or promoting a bill. We will be opposing most of the time. But
Mhm.
getting back to that's my email. I mean,
Yep.
it's just filled
Yeah.
wire points. These are other entities or sources that everyone needs to be tuned into.
Yep.
Why Pritzker's pension proposal for Illinois is flim flam. This is out of
Mhm.
wire points.
Yeah, I saw that email the other day too.
You saw it?
Yep.
Illinois lawmakers killing the school choice looking more absurd as Alabama, Tennessee, Texas set up choice expansions. See,
Yep.
other states are fortifying. They're
Mhm.
understanding what we face. School choice being a big issue. We know the public school system is literally burning to the ground,
Yeah.
figuratively and literally, unfortunately, in some cases, burning to the ground because our students can't even perform at grade level.
Yeah.
Uh, Let me moving on here. Let's see here. Let's open up this. Uh, it's it's noise in the tent. This comes from Illinois Family Institute. Uh, Illinois Family Institute's one to tune into. They really
Yep.
are do deep dives on all of those issues that deal with the cultural perspective, especially as it pertains to our school systems, our families. Hence the name Illinois Family Institute. Bills that are put forth that continue to dig away at the parental rights and obviously having the ability to make those decisions. But the list goes on and
Mhm.
on and on. And I try to get through as much of this as possible. And yes, it does seem overwhelming. The corruption, the fraud.
Mhm.
But once again, we don't quit. We
Yep.
don't stop. And because, obviously, what are our choices? We can't move to another country. That's
Right.
what our opponents did, right? When Trump was
Mhm.
elected, they wanted
Yeah,
to say they were moving to other countries.
and none of them did.
Yeah, yeah, and you can move to another state.
Yeah. Yeah.
Believe me, my wife and I have thought about it often. What would it be like to live in a red state?
Oh,
We
yeah.
know when we travel the Midwest and we cross a state line.
Yep.
I've been able to cross a few state lines lately. Um, yeah, you sense a whole different perspective and outlook. You can
Yeah.
almost feel it in the air and all around you. And now, granted, I know a lot of that is psychological because
Right.
you
Yeah,
escape
definitely.
Illinois.
Yeah. Well, and some of us are, when we go down southeast, we go to South Carolina every year, and we know it's very much a block red state. They've got some Democrat areas. Greenville, I think, is a high Democrat area. Columbia, Charleston, although I think they just elected a mayor down there, Republican mayor for the first time in like ever, Charleston, and they have pockets of liberal areas and progressive areas, but it's not enough to overwhelm the populated areas of rural South Carolina, and that's one of the state that we fell in love with too. But you're seeing that everywhere you go. It's not some people go on vacation, they don't see any difference, with some of these states, but Florida, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, you're seeing an overwhelming move to those states because there's choices, there's more choices, there's less taxes, less. They're going to have corruption everywhere you go, but you're going to have more choices to kind of bleed out some of the stuff too.
Well, you know, obviously, Ryan, and I do appreciate you. I'm glad you were available to jump
Yeah.
on today because this article this morning that I saw with this mayor in Dalton or Dalton, however you say it,
Mhm.
Illinois,
Yeah.
just gigging the system. It's just merely a scratch of the scratch. Uh, not only at the federal level as we approach spending more on interest to pay our debt than we do for our military,
Yeah.
approaching $1 trillion. We're printing $1 trillion every 100 days.
Yep.
That's troubling because we can't sustain that. Our economy can't sustain that. Hence the reason that we're seeing the prices at our grocery stores, at
Yep.
the pump, and in our rental markets, in our housing markets, in everything that we do. Our way of life is being threatened. We know that this is going to continue. You can't just pull back on the lever and expect it to change overnight. But at least we're having this discussion ahead of election. Uh, if you're listening and you're viewing this podcast, whether it be on YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, and Rumble. Well, Rumble not today. Rumble on. Hey, Rumble, you're on Rumble, so I guess technically I am on Rumble today.
Well, and when I simulcast with you, it only limits me to like 2 platforms, but,
Yeah.
I still have not figured
Well,
out.
I'm looking up there and it says
Mhm.
R. Oh, you're only on YouTube and
Yeah, when
X.
you simulcast with somebody, StreamYard limits you to only 2 platforms. I'm not sure why, but
Yeah, well, so I wasn't able to access Rumble. Was limited, and I don't know what the reason was. Kat sent me something this morning, and I tried to go in and set up my Rumble account today. Hence
yeah,
the reason I reached out to you.
yeah,
But but knowing that you're listening out there, and election day is approaching, and there are some contested primaries, and merely what takes place in a primary is we select. We
mhm,
don't coronate our next candidate for an office. We actually vote for it. And contested primaries are good because I think it helps us truly
yeah,
identify what direction we're going to head. Within the Republican Party, this is what I started saying earlier when I was at the board meeting last night. I had to um, really encourage everyone to realize that the times of having parades and having social events and having yard sign parties, uh, we're not winning elections by doing those things.
yep,
Those are niceties. We wonder
mhm,
why it appears that the Democrat side of the aisle, the radical left side of the aisle, is outperforming us because they are quietly. It truly is in the cover of night. Hence the flights that the
mhm,
Biden regime put forth with these illegal immigrants. They're doing it right underneath our nose. We know they're doing it, and they're not even showing any signs of remorse for anything they do because they believe what they are doing is justified. Well, that's how they're taking these elections.
yep.
They're
They're
doing
playing
it.
hardball, we're playing wiffle ball.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yep,
I've said it over and over again until we engage. And that's what I was encouraging everyone to do last night within our party, because our party has to wake up and realize that we're not going to take it back
yep.
by trying to compromise with somebody who is not willing
Oh, yeah, they
to give
never
anything.
budge on
They're not
anything.
giving any distance. In fact, they're asking us to come along with them. They're
Yeah,
fine
always.
as long as we join them.
Right,
Hence the reason that that bill passed through the House here in Illinois, where
yeah,
we now have non-citizens being considered for positions in law enforcement. And I know there's a certain
yep,
Republican representative out there who doesn't believe that that's what the bill says. It does not say that non-citizens can be uh, eh, in law enforcement. And I've read it, and
they need to
I'm
read it
going to.
then.
Well, he needs to read his own bill. Yeah, that's right, because he voted for it.
Yeah,
He voted yes, and
of course they
he
did.
said there's no way no one would vote for that. And that's
Well,
unfortunately.
it's another reason why Dick Durbin won't sign on to anything that's tough against illegal immigrants in congressional level because he's already co-sponsored things in Illinois on his own and the smaller end. Why he won't come down hard on illegals at congressional level because the state where he's from has also allowed illegals to be police officers as well. So he can't go back and forth and be hard on them, and he's not going to.
Well, and ultimately, I don't believe that Dick Durbin will seek another term as the United States Senator. However, I know that they are strategically putting forth the person that will follow in his footsteps and hopefully continue in the direction that Dick Durbin has been party to as a leader of their caucus
Yep.
in Washington, D.C., and being part of the Democrat Party for as long as he has,
Yeah.
40 plus years, spanning back to before most of the people that are with us today on this show were alive, or if
Mhm.
they were alive, they were very young.
Yeah.
But but it's a plan. It's the way the Democrat Party works. As I said, if you want to educate yourself on how we should be doing things, not things that are illegal, but things that will propel us as a party, take a look at what the Democrats do. Um, all the good things they do, and the way they organize, and the way that they get ahead of these things. And there's certain things we can't do. Obviously, we don't have the ability to leverage the state government through government tax dollars, or I should say taxpayer funded government, where they have the pension controlled public pension system and
Yep.
its membership. And therefore, that's an enticement. Obviously, for any member of a public pension, they feel a loyalty and obligation to protect their pension, as their pension should be protected. Unfortunately, their entire structure of their pension system was built on a Ponzi scheme, and they should be mad. They should be uh, joining forces with those of us who want to make sure that that pension system is uh, built back up, is refunded all the money that they have been defunding out of the public pension system. I
Mhm.
believe that is many years from happening. I know that I'm going to be a benefactor of that with my wife's state funded pension. Uh, However, there are our children's and our grandchildren, generations to come, they won't be as lucky because they will have the burden of an economy that can't withstand the influxes of everything that we have going on in our state.
Yeah.
And and the biggest influx right now, unequivocally, uh, is the illegal immigration, because that is the burden that no one in the
Yep.
state planned on, not even JB. There's not another federal bailout coming from
No,
a
billions and billions of
coronavirus.
dollars later
Yeah.
continue to funnel in through to fix their problems, but you've got homeless people that are civilians and veterans here that he's not even helping. He's taking money away from the African Americans in Chicago. South side of Chicago is furious at Democrats. They may lose Illinois at some point in the near future if they don't have the black vote in Chicago because of what they're doing up there. They're taking away community programs for them and giving it to illegals. If that's not a bigger
Yeah.
wake up call for what the Democrats are doing, I don't know what is.
Well, you need to go out to Darren Paley's page. Darren did a interview with Steve Bannon, and
I
Steve
saw that. That
just,
was a great interview.
oh man,
I
I
need to
mean,
get him
Steve,
on my show too sometime and talk to him before even before the election or just in general.
Darren.
Yeah, I need to get
Or
him on.
Steve Bannon. If you can get Steve Bannon on, man, I'll tune in for that. Maybe
Yeah,
you can put
yeah,
me into the screen as a third person. But Steve
yeah,
Bannon, he gets it. He understands what Darren's up against with this opponent in Mike Bost.
yeah.
Obviously, Mike Bost is your typical swamp dweller in DC. And I know that people say, wait a minute, he's a Republican. We're not supposed to say things ill about other Republicans. Save it.
Mhm.
I'm
No,
so
I'm
beyond
done with
that.
that. Yep,
Your outcomes show who you are.
yep.
I believe if Darren thought that Mike Boss was truly representing the people of Southern Illinois, Darren would take a pass. Darren has not entered politics to become a politician. Darren will not be in politics as long as Mike Bost has been.
Oh,
Mike
absolutely.
Bost has been
Yep.
in office for 40 years, like Dick Durbin. So it's
Mhm.
just not the Democrat side of
Yep,
the aisle,
yep.
the radical
It's
left
the
side of the aisle.
established Republicans. Yep,
It is the establishment Republicans who
yep.
created a lot of this. When we allowed without public outcry, the Liz Cheneys and the Adam Kinzingers
Mhm.
to be part of the J6 select committee, quote unquote, select committee, um,
Mhm.
without truly rising up and demanding that they immediately remove themselves.
Yep.
That's where we need true leadership. I do believe we're in a better position than we were this time last year with Mike Johnson,
Yeah. I've
but
disagreed on a few things, but it is a far
it's
cry.
incremental.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
incremental. We haven't gone all
Yep.
the way. You know, Mike Johnson, or any, obviously anyone in the House right now needs to be standing up and demanding answers. You know, the one thing
Yeah.
that I appreciate about Marjorie Taylor Greene is,
Mhm.
you know,
Absolutely. She's
the
bombastic.
the left calls her the left. I love it when they refer to her as a heckler during the
Yeah.
State of the Union.
Yeah.
No, it was an accountability.
Yeah.
She wanted to hear the president of the United States acknowledge what is
Mhm.
going on in this
And then he
country.
got the name wrong.
And then he got the name wrong. And then, which obviously upset us on the right side of the
Right.
aisle,
But it
but
embarrassed him. Yeah.
also
Ultimately.
upset the left
Yeah.
because he referred to the suspected killer of the young
Yeah. We need
Laken Riley.
more people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz, and I know Dan has talked about this on his show before. You vote principle over party and people and things like that, but you've got people in the Republican Party who absolutely will stir the pot and cause problems for Democrats and the establishment, and that's what we need 100 more of them because they will stir the pot and blow things up, regardless if they're the minority or not. That's what Illinois needs. Illinois needs more Darren Baileys. They need more bombastic people to say, you know what? No, we're not doing it this way. You're wrong. And until we have that, you're going to get railroaded by Democrats here in the state.
Well, and I'm going to give you my picks. I think this is something I haven't shared with you.
Hmm.
So when I start looking at some of the people that I back, um, I should say follow on Twitter,
Yeah.
I go to this Maze Moore, at Maze Moore spelled Maze Moore Moore,
Hmm.
uh, has a ton of original content, and some of it is just entertaining. But
Yeah.
these are other sources, of course. Tucker, Right Side Broadcasting Network,
Hmm.
Mike Benz. You heard me talk about Mike. I'm going to
Yeah.
continue to talk about Mike.
Yep.
The Media Research Center.
Yeah.
Go to it's a little bulldog Media
Hmm.
Research Center.
Yep.
They are putting out great content. Uh, Kyle Seraphin. Many
Yep.
of you have heard Dan Bongino talk about Kyle. These are sources where you need to go out and truly look at what is transpiring out there. There are so many other means, and especially if indeed Rumble is able to secure TikTok and take it away from the Communist Chinese Party and
Hmm.
keep it here at home, we are going to open up a whole new means of getting out the freedom of speech,
Yep.
protecting free speech, protecting religious liberties, protecting everything that this Constitution affords us. Because without it, what do we truly have? The quote that I put up on my DPB show, and I hope many of you were able to see that. I don't know if you guys are seeing the content that I put out on my social media pages on Facebook. But basically, all of the problems of this world are strictly because of the absence of God.
Yeah.
See, we have left
Absolutely.
God.
Hmm.
It used to be in God we trust, and it's no
Hmm.
longer in God we
No,
trust.
it's in myself we trust. That's the new truth bomb is.
And the only way we get back to that is by clawing our way back. It's going to be a
Yep.
fight. And that's the fight that I'm up for. I know you are, Ryan. I
Yep.
know we're going to continue this conversation. I know we're getting up approaching the end of the hour. So this is where I always allow Ryan the opportunity to promote his show. So Ryan, let him know because I saw you put it down there in the comment
Yeah,
section.
RyanMacShow.com is where you can find all the podcast episodes. It's in one streamlined place. I'm on Rumble. I have used Rumble Studio recently. It's got some kinks to work out, but Rumble, YouTube, Facebook. I did take down the Ryan Mac Show Facebook page because I wanted to be more public on my own end. and kind of a streamline it. So RyanMacShow.com is where you can find everything.
Well, and you can always find me here on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 4 to 5 at the DPB show, at the DPB show. Uh, Thursday is going to be my last show before Election Day. I'm going to try to get something out on Election Day, but I think I'm going to find myself in Effingham working on the Bailey campaign, because
Nice.
what we're starting to see happen down in this 12th congressional district is uh, we need more people to turn out, to show up, to vote for the American way. We have people out there fighting for us. And on Thursday's show, I'm going to highlight, other than having Scott Crawl, and that is an endorsement. I've had Judge Joe. I think both of them are qualified to represent us. Who will be the more qualified? Obviously, that will be determined on Tuesday. But I am going to talk about some of the people that I believe are truly trending in a manner that is strictly based on this little document, the Constitution. I have said it often. I'll continue to say it. I just want you to be standing on the Constitution in the American way. And if it has anything to do with you getting a government pension, getting power, getting prestige, I'm not interested. I fought against that in my 2 elections against a well-established Republican member of the House down in Springfield, and those days are gone. We can't have people who are in it for themselves. If they're not in it for the people, if they're not in it to advance the cause of what we truly hold near and dear to our heart, which is to save this country, I'm not going to highlight you as a candidate, because we've got a lot of work to do and we don't have time to waste with
Yep.
people who are wanting to pretend to represent we the people.
Absolutely.
Was that it, Brian?
Yeah.
Ryan, did I
Yeah,
capture it?
you couldn't have closed it out even better than that. I mean, that was a great little monologue you put up there.
Well,
Right out of the heart, wasn't it?
yeah, well, I mean, and it does, there were other things I want to cover today. I'm going to get to them on
Right.
Thursday, and there's plenty
Yeah.
of time, but definitely tune back in on Thursday. I will be back. I don't know. Ryan might even join me there. I don't know if his
Yeah, you
schedule
know
is.
what? I know that, election day, you've got stuff going on, but why don't we do kind of an informal, informational Thursday, who in our area we should vote for on the ballot coming up?
Yeah,
The choices
you're
we can
right.
run down because a lot of people, I've been
Yes,
trying to get the word out, make a choice between 2 people that are really good. It's hard. We got a couple of races that, Regan Deering and Chuck.
Chuck
Those are
Erickson.
2
Oh yeah.
very good candidates. It's gonna be very
Well,
hard to choose between 2 very good candidates. But I think that
and how do you go about doing that? Because
right.
obviously both of those people have been on my show, and
Yeah,
they both offer. I mean, it is. They're both really, and it saddens me that
yeah. We need them both in Springfield.
well, wouldn't it be nice if we could put both of them? I'd like
Yeah,
to have both of them
like one
in
of those
spring.
vote 2 options, just send 2 from the district.
Well, can you have 2 from one district and their
Yeah,
vote would
at
count?
this
But
point,
no,
might as well.
let's do that on Thursday.
Yeah,
Let's go ahead and designate that. We'll have Scott Crawl on, but we'll also designate that to talk a little bit about the districts here in Illinois, some of
yeah.
the races that are going on, and then start building upon what we need to do
Mhm.
going into November, because man, we've got our work cut out and they are pulling out all the stops. If you talk about a
Yep.
flood of biblical proportion, they
Mhm.
are going to flood the United States with more than just illegal immigrants
Yep,
to capture this November election, because
yep.
they will not concede.
China
Uh,
is already having an influence because they want Joe Biden or somebody of his kind to win because they know that they can take over what they need to with another Democrat in office. So it is vitally important to get out and vote, overwhelm their end of it so they can't find enough votes to come up with.
Well, brother, I appreciate you and everything you do. I'll send you the
Yeah.
link on Thursday. Hey, as I always tell you guys, I bid you a peace that surpasses all understanding. Just remember that I love you and God loves you more. We look forward to seeing you on Thursday. Until then, we are signing off here at the DPB show. Thanks a lot.